to some more of turning my D&D creations into Sims. So we were here with the third character today, which is Sprite. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, this is going to be one of the 9 that are sort of based off the evolutions. It was sort of my way to sort of get into the world of D&D and have something to base it off of before I started, like, fully taking inspirations of just stuff in my head. But when I say taking inspirations from the evolutions, it is sort of loosely. It is more in the style of their drawing and just, like, taking, like, whatever type they are in Pokemon and stuff like that and trying to translate that into D&D. Which overall works in some cases. Some of them it's a bit of stretch, but when it came to the characters themselves, obviously they don't really look like the evolutions, and like drawing wise, it wasn't so much shaping their features to try to fit an evolution. It was more of just like overall feel. For like Eevee, there was more browns and tans, and I ended up going with a steampunk style for her ultimately because she was an artificer. Because Eva is supposed to be Eevee, and I probably just said Eevee the first time, but anyway. And today Fee is actually Sylveon. I didn't do them in the order that they came into the Pokemon world. I just did them in order as I came up with ideas to fit with them. And Fee was the next one, and obviously she is going to be a fairy. I mean, I couldn't miss that opportunity there. And technically, at the time of making her, fairies were, like, they were in D&D, like, lore and stuff like that, if I remember correctly, but they wasn't, like, playable necessarily, but people made homebrew versions. But I'm pretty sure my boyfriend told me recently they actually are coming out with, or just came out with, official fairy playable stats, I believe. So, maybe she now can be more of an official thing, technically, but Fee is my lovely, adorable, cute fairy. Now, in terms of her lore, I decided to make her from a village of fairies, and they sort of, obviously fairies are just sort of brought up into creation out of magic, technically, but with her village, I decided that some of them sort of take on roles and responsibilities to sort of help new fairies, basically like a human equivalent of mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, however your life is. So basically, that's sort of how this little village works, and they stay away from a lot of the other races. They sort of are hidden, out of seclusion, and have been where they are for so long that they don't know about the outside world very much, and this particular group of fairies is a little wary of certain races outside of them, but Fee wants to explore and spread her music as all over the world. So she wants to get out there. She wants to see things. And let me just say that when I drew her hair, when I went to go into creation, I had to give her this hair because it was almost so close to what I drew for her. You should have already seen the drawing that I had myself. But yeah, it just fits so well. The roots area is a little bit darker than I would have preferred it to be, but it just fits so well, and there was at least a pink option. I was like, I have to do it. I have to go with it. So yeah, but anyway, on to, like, Fee's D&D info stuff. She, obviously, I said she's a fairy. She's only 2'1", and she is a fairy. I don't know exactly how the official stats are gonna be, or how, I don't remember if I looked up I think I did look up how little they were, but I decided for reasons of playable fairies that I didn't want to make her, like, super, super short. But yeah, so she's supposed to be extremely short, but obviously in Sims there's not a height thing. I know there is a mod to change the heights at least slightly, but to me some of the animations get really too borky and weird and strange especially when two Sims are interacting with each other. I just don't fool with it, because to me some of the animations get too weird. So personally I prefer not to use it, but if that was ever inclusion in the game, that they would make it to where the animations would somehow take thought of different heights, I would make her shorter. But we'll just pretend. Now, as far as her last name, technically she doesn't ever really had an official last name. This would just be a last name that if I ever was to play her, she would randomly just come up with when people ask for a last name. Yeah, Sprite. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sprite. Yeah. yeah. That's what she would just randomly come up with. Otherwise, she just goes by Fee. Now, she is a bard. You may have gathered that from the music part, if you're someone who's at least somewhat knowledgeable of D&D. And her subclass is College of Glamour. Thought it was the most fitting. And she's mostly wanting to travel around to have fun and see outside the world and, again, spread her music. I put her age as 26. Not really sure how fairy ages. I forgot why I put 26. Most likely, I would just say that's what she says she is. Or that's at least how many human years she knows she's been alive. But fairy years, I don't know how that works. I don't remember right off the top of my head. Probably should have looked that up. Or at least wrote down a side note of why I did that. That would have been smart of me to do. For my future self. But, yeah, I did not. And I think I didn't mention it in the last one, but technically I did give all of my characters a gender and a sexual orientation. With the genders, especially for Sims and stuff like that, I just went a little bit more basic. She is a female, but she is bi, so she is into both male and females. We'll see if that actually takes place. I don't have Wonderful Whims in or anything that decides that, so I don't know how in the world the game would perceive that, but we'll just go with it. We'll hope that it works, or I'll find a way. Anyway, because technically I'm gonna see if romances randomly happen in the houses, because I'm sort of interested to see if it would. Anyway. So in terms of Sims, I gave her the aspiration of musical genius, and part of the reason why I am really focusing on the aspirations, one, it just adds more to the character to fit with my D&D character, but also I am quite curious if any Sims will potentially try to do anything for their aspirations on their own somehow. Some aspirations you have to be very specific, but some of them, like, by Sims doing daily actions and things like that on their own can actually be accomplished. So I'm interested to see if any Sims actually get anywhere in their particular aspiration. I might slightly pay attention to their whims every once in a while. So if they get a whim, I might do a whim here and there. For the most part, I'm not going to control them too often. It will just be for like little small things. It might be for the whims. Make sure they're taking care of Zuzu because she's a cat and she can't take care of herself. So, you know, stuff like that. And if they get locked out of places and somehow I don't catch them before they walk out of the room, you know, I might teleport them back to the room and be like, no, you're not allowed. But anyway, that's a side note for whenever I do put them all in the household. But as for currently in the game, I did give her the cheerful trait, the music lover, and the childish trait. Fairies, you know, tend to have a little bit of mischief behind them, even though I think in my personal brain, pixies are the worst for mischief and more likely can lead to slightly harmful mischief, while fairies' mischief is more playful. So that's why I gave her childish trait, so that, you know, she's a little silly, a little mischievous, but it's all harmfulness. Like, harmfulness? It's all not harmful. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, brain work. Now, I am planning on adding a mod that allows me to give them 5 traits to try to give them as much personality as possible. I also am giving them likes and dislikes. I think by the time I had made Fee, I don't think I had the likes and dislikes in just yet, or maybe I didn't pay attention to the video there. Actually, I did have them, but I did those off camera because that could take a while. I feel like doing the likes and dislikes. If you'd like to know their likes and dislikes, I can mention them, or at least mention them when I go to actually put them all in the household. But yeah, otherwise I thought it would just take too long to actually mention all of them. But yeah, so all this stuff is going to factor into their personality and seeing how they react to each other. But I'm also going to be giving her the outgoing and dance machine trait once I get that 5 trait mod in, as long as it's working and doesn't need any more update, or it is updated for the time frame of when I actually go to put them all into the household. But yeah, I hope you really liked how Fee turned out. I tried to get her at least semi-close to my drawing. I figured this dress was fitting more of the style of how I drew her, and I gave her wings, but obviously they're not as detailed and decorative as her wings, but they're really pretty and sparkly, and they had pink, so, you know, I went with those wings, and her hair is pretty much spot on. But I absolutely love her. Think she's absolutely adorable. If you liked how she turned out, hit that lovely like button. Subscribe so you see the future D&D characters and hear their lovely stories, as well as seeing them all into the household at the end of this series. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about Fee and all the others. Who is your favorite so far? And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. But for now,